And on the hotline right now, Billy Embody, 247 Sports, covering the LSU Tigers, and there is a lot to cover right now in Baton Rouge. Billy, good afternoon.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
A lot calmer up here than it is down there, apparently. I think things are good up here.
Yeah, you're going through what we went through 2 years ago, kind of over there. So before we get to the game, like, who's the flavor of the day? Who's like the big name or names?
We love coaching carousel season. It is our favorite time. It's better than Christmas.
Oh, the best. And now, all right, you want flavor of the day?
Yes.
It's Lincoln Riley. But here's why. The internet is tracking, of course, the flight.
Oh, you guys flight? Oh, you plane track too? We thought we were the only crazy ones.
Yes. SEC football, I mean, it's flight tracking season all the time.
Right.
So a flight went up to Norman from Baton Rouge today and was there for a little bit and flew right back. So, of course, So, of course, Lincoln Riley, they installed a double of him there. It's a robot. It's not an actual Lincoln Riley, and he's on his way to Baton Rouge right now to be the next coach. So,
oh man,
it was a fun coaching search, but I'm just glad it's over. Really,
until the next plane lands somewhere else.
That's right. Yeah,
and the people who do that absolutely believe it.
They're convinced.
It couldn't be somebody who works in Baton Rouge flying to Norman to do something business-wise. It has to be the plane that's bringing the new coach back.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, and I forgot which coaching search this was a few years ago, but there was a AD that flew commercial 2 flights back from a road game to then end up in the town where the coach he was going after was, and that was how they got the hire. I forgot who preceded Scott Frost. It might have been that. It was wild. Anyway,
who did precede Scott Frost? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the guy from Oregon State. Mike Riley.
Mike Riley. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So when Mike Riley was hired, that was how the Nebraska AD did it. He flew like commercial twice, ended up in Corvallis, but he flew home on the. he flew up to Corvallis on the charter or the commercial from a road game that Nebraska played.
I see.
So absolutely wild. So that's your flavor of the day. But realistically, I mean, I think Jimbo Fisher is still a big candidate here.
Really?
The time. Yeah, I get this feeling that Scott Woodward lured him away from Florida State. He's got no buyout. I swear it's really interesting. I actually talked to Jimbo Fisher in 2018 or 2019, the spring of 2019, when Scott Woodward was hired. We were at SEC spring meetings, and I asked him about Woodward, who was there as well for the meetings. And I said, hey, just looking for a little background on Scott Woodward. And he raved about him. So, it's one of those things where just looking back now makes you say, could they pull him out of there? It wouldn't shock me. I don't know if he is like done deal, but I think there's, and this is where the coaching search, you got to try to sift through all the rumors, but I'm having at least people that aren't associated at all with LSU, even saying, it sounds like, the whispers are starting about Jimbo Fisher. I'm like, they've been there from the beginning, James Franklin, there's been all sorts of different names. Mel Tucker is one to watch, I think. But, it just seems like Jimbo Fisher's kind of been the constant one. And, whether you like what he's done at A&M or not, besides the win over Alabama, it makes a lot of sense. So I think he's probably the big name that I'm at least watching for now. But I'll say this, Scott Woodward has pulled some monkeys out of his hat when it comes to coaches in the past. I mean, he got Steve Sarkisian at Washington and then ended up with Chris Peterson after that, and nobody thought he would leave Boise State. And then he got Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, and he hired Kim Mulkey for LSU away from Baylor women's basketball. And then he really had everybody watching one hand in the SEC. Everybody kind of thought he was going to hire one of the SEC sitting baseball coaches, and then he pulls Arizona's Jay Johnson, who's a really good coach. So he's really, really tied into these, ways to make coaching searches interesting while also being able to accomplish what he wants, which is hiring a really good coach. And So nothing will shock me with this search, but I could see it just being somebody who's been there kind of right from the beginning.
Boy, if you went in and stole Texas A&M's coach, they've had kind of a rough year football season with Texas coming into the SEC against their wishes. The Texas A&M may secede from the union if this continues. How did everything go so wrong for Orgeron? 2 years ago, you got one of a generational team. You've got athletes, more athletes than you know what to do with, and in 18 months, this whole thing's just fallen apart.
Yeah, quite honestly, they did not recruit and evaluate well behind that 2019 team. And so a good number of those guys on that 2019 team were guys that he held on to from the Les Miles recruiting class. Others were already on the roster. They had some guys that they recruited and signed. I mean, your Jamar Chase, your Terrace Marshall, Justin Jefferson. They got Thad Moss to come over. He was much more important than I think people even realized for that team. Obviously, Joe Burrow. Those guys all covered up the bottom, call it half of the roster so well. I mean, they didn't really have much depth on that team in a way. If somebody went down, there wasn't too many guys that were able to step up. So from there, he had some tough things to go through off the field, going through divorce and doing all that. And I think, COVID just really hurt him. And then on top of that, they just did not evaluate and recruit well. And they did it in a way that, they had these national recruits that were not evaluated well. And then those guys were like, not working out here because I can't play here. I'm going to transfer. And then they were down to 50 scholarships. So it was just an insane fall. And the hires that he's made, coordinator spots have been pretty bad, save for Joe Brady. A lot of people think he ran off Dave Aranda, quite honestly. So it just is all falling apart for him.
Billy Embody, 247 Sports, our guest here on Ruskin and Zach, as we get some info on LSU. Now, as far as how did they hang with Alabama last week? For people who didn't maybe saw the score or saw highlights, how did this happen last week where they almost knocked off Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, their defense just played unbelievably well. I mean, and that's clear, right? I mean, that was so impressive what they were able to do. And I think for them, they just said, screw it, we're going to blitz every single play, it seemed like. They blitzed something like 41 times in the first however many games they played this year, and they blitzed 21 against Bama. And they had just as many untouched double pressures or something like that as they had the whole season against Alabama. So their defense, despite being depleted, that front seven was dominant. And that allowed a depleted secondary to be able to not have to guard those receivers for too long. Those guys made some plays. They also gave up some here or there. Bama shot themselves in the foot. But then, LSU's offense just couldn't get it done. And on top of that, LSU's offense in the final however many minutes of the first half, sunk LSU's ship for that game. That turnover ended up being the difference. So they did a tremendous job defensively, just completely changing what they did throughout the entire course of the year, and Alabama wasn't ready for it at all.
So what's the buy-in now? You've got a coach that's a lame duck. You've got a couple of games left. They're going to beat Prairie View. They've got 2 league games left. Where are they mentally? Is this one of those things where, and we've seen it before, where teams just check out the last quarter of the season?
Yeah, they could. I think that a lot of the guys were pretty upbeat in media this week, so they could check out. But they seem like they want to get to a bowl. Ed Orgeron kind of joked it'd be a great reward for the players as long as there's blue water and sandy beaches. So,
so you don't want to go to Birmingham.
In my opinion, that's how I view bowl games. Blue water, sandy beaches. That's what I want. I don't want the Fenway bowl game, which would be cool, but I don't want Boston in December.
How about Birmingham? That sounds like a good time, doesn't it?
A lot of beaches in Birmingham.
Pretty rough. I was just there on Saturday night. I like Birmingham a good bit in spots, but man, a bowl game in December, that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah. What just as far as what are they saying about Arkansas and what kind of challenge this will be? And night game at Death Valley, that's always a intimidating place for a visiting team to go into there.
Yeah, and I think the fans are going to show out just because of what they did against Alabama. Kind of show Louisiana and LSU fans really kind of have a unique way about them. You know, this season, of course, is just an absolute train wreck, but they'll come out and they'll show support just because of that close loss. I mean, I think it's going to be a great environment, you know, for the game. I think they have a lot of respect for Arkansas. You know, Ed Orgeron kind of views what Sam Pittman's trying to do probably a little bit like what he was trying to do when he went to LSU, you know, as somebody who's never been a coordinator but took over a major program. And so there's a lot of respect. They love, you know, what Sam Pittman's doing, and I think they're going to be, you know, mentally prepared for this one. It's going to be a physical game in my mind, especially after the last week we saw what LSU's defense can do against Alabama if they play like that again. I think we're in for a bit of a SEC Classic here, you know, maybe lower scoring than we've seen.
They announced earlier this week that they're going to play two quarterbacks, and, you know, the old saying is if you have two, you don't have one. How does a two-quarterback system work? Who are they going to play? Are we talking about different skill sets, or are we just trying to find a guy that can move the ball?
Yeah, they're just trying to find a guy that can move the ball between Max Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier. And Garrett Nussmeier has shown a little bit of promise this year in his limited opportunities, and Max Johnson just really hasn't improved much, in my opinion, at least during the course of the season. And, you know, with 3 games to go, Garrett Nussmeier just said, look, if I can't play when the team is struggling that bad against Alabama, just play me. Just burn the red shirt. I don't care what the reason was for not putting me in. But who knows? I could have made a throw. Or we could have made a big play, taken a shot down the field. And, you know, he's that competitive. I covered Garrett in high school pretty closely. And that's the mindset he takes. And he wants a shot at it, so they're going to let him play some in the first half and mix them together and see how it goes. And whoever plays better is going to, you know, play the most from there.
He's Doug Nussmeier's son, correct?
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, on the LSU beat, Billy, there was some kind of report that we may be getting closer to a resolution of the Will Wade matter with the NCAA. Where is that on the radar down there?
Yeah, we'll see about that. I still, from what I've heard, LSU is just standing pat behind their guy. I mean, they don't think the NCAA has anything. I don't think they really do either. And so they're just saying, unless you got bullets, you know, time to let this thing go. And so I think there could be a resolution with the NCAA soon. I think Will Wade met with the NCAA, I believe, about a week and a half ago. A lot of people think they're getting closer to a resolution, but, you know, this thing has dragged on long enough. I think it's time to, you know, for multiple programs that are being investigated through this whole thing, it's time to just move on. I mean, it's been years now.
Yeah. All right.
We always do this at the end just to see if we can throw you off a little bit, but today's the 46th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. More legendary, the wreck itself or the song?
Oh gosh, the wreck itself, right? That's the wreck itself. I'm going with the wreck.
Okay, all right. We voted song simply because, you know, I'm the only one old enough that was alive.
Big Gordon Lightfoot fans.
Yeah, you go on wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald or Sundown, or can you name a third song?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Best of Gordon Lightfoot. It took about 3 hours.
How long is this concert, man? Like took 20 minutes.
It's like 15 minutes, and one of them's a remix.
That's right. Yes. All right.
Oh God,
Billy, thank you so much.
All right, boys. Anytime. Thanks.
We're back and better than ever. A new web interface to start the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV 50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, and baseball postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.